Welcome, one and all, to episode number 67 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. Your boy Stoney is back for the 67th time, and I'd like to welcome all my favorite hoodlums, scumbags, lowlifes, cheats, hustlers, fienders, degenerates. You're all back for season number 2, Stoney Cast number 34 of the season and the last episode of the season. Season 2 is coming to an end with the national championship tomorrow night. So this will be the last video I will post until August. So I get a couple months off to count my money and all the money that I made for everybody, because all I did all season long was roll. A couple production notes. Yes, August 27th is when NCAA football season kicks off. So expect a Stoney Cast a couple days before that, or maybe even the day before that, to kind of welcome you back and get you in the groove and get you ready for NCAA football. And the following week, season 3, episode 2, will be the start of the NFL season, where we rolled this year. But anyway, those are the programming notes. So let's go over some numbers before we get to the goodies and tell you who I like tomorrow night in the NCAA championship. Yesterday's Final Four wasn't the greatest for us. We went 1-3. I missed both totals. I had the under on both sides. Both games went over. Kansas came out of the chute like a rocket, and they absolutely rolled Villanova, while Villanova played their hearts out and played tough and got it down to 6. I was thinking there was a chance that I could have backdoored that to at least salvage a split, because that game was going over. There was no doubt that game was going over. And but it didn't work out that way. Kansas held on, got the win and the cover. And in the nightcap, first of all, let me start by saying ease up on the classic talk. It was a good game. It was a very good game. Wasn't a great game, but it was a good game. It was well played. Instant classic? No. I've seen plenty more, much better games than that. I think it was a little overshadowed by Krzyzewski, Coach K's retirement. And that kind of took some of the luster out of what we actually saw. Now, we did see a great game. We did, and I'm not knocking the game at all, but it wasn't a classic, not by any means. It was a classic for Carolina and Duke fans, because Carolina fans will be talking about it for a long time. Duke fans, not so much. But Mike Krzyzewski is now gone, so his aura and his specter that looms over college basketball is gone. It's over. So now you look forward to the next generation of coaches, and the generation that we have right now, a lot of great coaches, and one of them will be coaching tomorrow night. The other one's only in his first year, and so time will be the only thing that will tell how Hubert Davis's legacy goes from here. But anyway, either way, 1-3 yesterday. I did have Carolina, and if you were like me and had Carolina on the money line, then that really worked out well. So that makes up for, the losses, the other losses with both totals and Villanova. So NCAA postseason in this tournament, the NCAA tournament, 71 wins, 48 losses, 1 push. That's 59.66%. For the first time since the tournament began, we're below the 60% mark. That's okay. That's fine. We always shoot for 57. 57 is always kind of like the number. Anything over 57% is golden. But we're at 59.66, just under 60%. And the thing is, with the NCAA tournament in particular, it's always easier to win when the tournament first starts, because you got 64 teams, and in that first round you got 32 games, and it's harder for the odds makers to get 32 games right than it is for them to get 2 right. So the spreads are tighter, and they're more online with where they should be. And yesterday was a classic example. Now, I think the bookmakers kind of took it in the shorts a little bit yesterday because Kansas was the overwhelming favorite, and a lot of people took Kansas, so I don't think the bookmakers made as much money in there. The Duke Carolina money was flying in on both sides, so they didn't really give a shit because they raked it in either way. So now we're at NCAA championship territory, and one game to decide the national champion and to decide whether or not I end my season on a plus note or a negative note. But even if it's on a negative note, nothing is going to put me, even if I lose both games, I'm still going to finish over 60% for the season. Total postseason now, this includes NCAA conference tournament games and it includes NIT games. 91 wins, 61 losses, 3 pushes, 59.87%. Again, solid. Looking back throughout the rest of the season for the parts of the season that have ended, NCAA regular season basketball, 176 wins, 131 losses, 1 push. That's 60.9%, just a shade under 61. NFL playoffs, 14 and 12%, 53.85%. That's the one bastion where we really didn't make any money for you. It was basically division playoff week, which buried us because we did well in the championship, in the championship round, and we won both sides of the Super Bowl. But we couldn't catch up from getting behind in that divisional playoff round. And NFL regular season, we rolled all season long. 151 wins, 85 losses, good for 63.98%. Bowl games, college football bowl games, 45 wins, 27 losses, 62.5%. And NCAA football regular season, 137 wins, 100 losses, 2 pushes. That's 57.8%. So overall, for the season, with every pick, which includes MLB postseason, which I didn't put in there, but my MLB postseason picks and everything, total everything, 620 wins, 400 losses, 6 pushes. That's 60.78%, and that is top notch. For those of you that go back to my blogging days, which I did for 7 years, including season 1 of Thoughts and Hunches, and this season, add it all up, that's 9 seasons. This was the best ever that I ever did, 60.78%. I don't think, even if we hit both games, I don't think we can hit 61%, but we certainly ain't going to hit 59%. So 60% is where we're going to finish, and I'm good with that. I am more than good with that. Every year I deposit X amount of dollars into my account in August, and I roll with it throughout the season. Now, if I lose that money, that's it, right? Now, thank God I've never had to re-up, right? Sometimes I'll cash out. Let's just say I put $2,000 in it. Maybe at the end of the season I might cash out $1,000, right? Which means I lost $1,000, right? But that's only happened once. All the other seasons I've been in the positive. This season right now, if I were to put in 2,000 into my account right now is a little over 8. So definitely quadrupled my money this year. Been making money for you all season, and I hope you guys have been rolling right along, watching these Stony casts, because once again, I've given you 1,026 picks, all for free. All for free. I don't charge you a dime, right? I do ask for a little kickback, maybe if you made some money. It would be nice to kick, to feed the man. Nobody has, and if you don't, no hard feelings. I don't expect it, right? But it sure wouldn't suck. But I certainly don't need it anyway. Nobody else in sports gambling anywhere is giving you 1,000 picks for free for a season and hitting at 60%. Nobody. Period. It's just nobody does it, right? So thanks for watching the Stony Cast. It's been my pleasure. It's been fun. There have been some late nights waiting up for the game to end and the lines to post before I can, and then I get some people on those Saturday mornings that are texting me saying, where's the STONIE'Cast? I need to see it. I'm heading to the sports book and I'm getting ready to make my picks. Relax. I always get my picks to you ahead of time before the games start. So here, now I'm giving you about a 24-hour, maybe about a 26-hour window, it looks like, until the national championship kicks off tomorrow night. So let's get to it. Here we go. Tomorrow night, national championship game, New Orleans, Louisiana. We've got Kansas, 4.5-point favorites against North Carolina. Kansas is a 1 seed and 33-6. North Carolina is an 8 seed and 29-9. And North Carolina is trying to equal Villanova in 1985, who by the numbers is still the biggest upset, or I should say the lowest seed to win the national championship when they beat Georgetown back in 85 and they shot 74% from the field. That's still the lowest seed to ever win. To me, in my lifetime, I still say that the biggest upset in the history of the NCAA tournament was North Carolina State 2 years before Villanova won it in 85. That was that was a team that didn't even belong in the tournament 2 weeks before the tournament, and they had to run the table, and they did, winning the ACC tournament and winning the NCAA tournament on their way to Jimmy V's wildness. So, even this one, two tried and true blue bloods going at it. Kansas and Carolina have multiple national championships in their pockets already, and they're just looking to stake their claim to move up that ladder a little bit more. North Carolina got here, right, by beating Marquette in the first round and Baylor in the second round to get to the Sweet 16. The win over Baylor was huge because Baylor was the number 1 seed, and that knocked them out of the West region. So the East region, excuse me, and that had Carolina looking to really go far. Then they knocked off UCLA in the 16 and St. Pete, who made the surprising run all the way to the Elite Eight. That got them into the Final Four, where they beat their arch nemesis Duke last night in a great game, no doubt. And Carolina has gone 5-0 against the number during this run. Cannot take that lightly. Duke, on the other hand, Duke won their region by beating Texas Southern in the first round and Creighton in the second round to get to the Sweet 16. They followed that up with wins over Providence and Miami to get to the Final Four, where they beat Villanova last night. Now, they went 4-1 against the number during that time, and if you look at the teams that they've played, they may not be all top-notch teams except for Villanova, but they beat 3 Big East teams: Creighton, Providence, and Villanova, out of the 4 that they've played, and or out of the 5 that they've played, and they've done it well because really none of their games were really that close. They trailed in a few, but they turned it on when they had to, and Kansas is here for a reason. There's no doubt. The point spread, I didn't even see the point spread. Kansas is a 4.5-point favorite. Kansas 4.5-point favorite, and the total is 153.5. That's what we're looking at right now. Money line picks: Kansas minus 190, Carolina plus 155. Very good value if you think Carolina can win the game. And so those are the numbers. Now we get into the numbers of both teams. Points per game, they're basically even, right? Carolina scores 78.1%, good for 28th in the country. Kansas scores 78.4 points a game, good for 21st in the country. So you just add those two up together, and that's 156 points. So that's telling you right there, over, right? But the point spreads are always about 10 points, 5 to 10 points lower than if you add the two teams' averages up. Always. That's just the way it is. Field goal percentage, right? This is where Kansas has a decided edge, right? Carolina shoots it at 45.1%, good for 108th in the country, but Kansas shoots it at 47.9%, good for 17th in the nation. But the reason why they're both so close in points per game is because Carolina gets to the glass better. Free throw percentage isn't even close. Carolina's a lot better, 76.3%, which is 25th in the country. Kansas is 72%, good for 161st in the country. So that's a huge difference. And in the three-point field goal percentage, they're basically the same. 36.1 for Kansas, 36.2 for Carolina. I keep saying Duke. So anyway, you can see how evenly these teams are matched just by going by the numbers. Now, for Carolina, their dynamic backcourt of Caleb Love and R.J. Davis have pretty much taken over this tournament, where going into the tournament, it was all Armando Bacot and Brady Manick, right? Those were the two guys. Those were the two big guns. They're the two leading scorers, center and power forward. And Brady Manick can step out and stroke the three. Armando Bacot gets to the glass. Case in point, 29 rebounds last night, which was just insane. But Bacot averages 16 points a game. Manick averages 15 points a game. But Love and Davis here in this tournament have just turned the tournament upside down and turned it into their bitch, basically. Caleb Love dropped 28 last night on Duke in the second half, including just a clutch three-pointer with less than a minute left, giving Carolina a 4-point lead. And he scored a career-high 30 2 rounds earlier against UCLA in the Sweet 16 when, again, Carolina was trailing with 2 minutes left, and Caleb Love willed them to a win. R.J. Davis, on the other hand, pretty much carried Carolina in the first half last night and had a career-high 30 against Baylor in the round of 16. So Love and Davis can get hot at any time. Bacot, you don't really expect him to score 25 or 30 points, right? But you do expect him to get another double-double. He's a freaking machine at that. And he's really their only big that goes to the glass and hits it hard. Brady Manick is just first of all, he's 37 years old, seems like. He's a graduate. Played 4 years at Oklahoma, transferred, and now he's playing again. 15 points a game. He can stroke that three, but when he gets cold, like he did last night in the first half, he only had one bucket in the first half. But the thing about Manick, he seems to hit those threes when it counts. Down the stretch, when they need one, he usually gets them. He's been playing better defense, but he's still kind of a defensive liability, and he rebounds okay, but not great. Hubert Davis has overseen this whole thing, and like I said at the top of the show, history will show us how great of a coach Hubert Davis will be, but in his first season, getting this team to the national championship has been just an incredible job, because I was down on them all season. For many reasons, because the ACC had a down year. Duke ran away with the ACC regular season. It really wasn't even that close. Sorry, I've got my eyes on golf over here. But Duke ran away with the regular season crown in the ACC. Carolina was never in the picture, and by early to mid-February, I was counting them out. I was saying they don't belong in the tournament. They're not going to make the tournament. And if they're a bubble team, they're only going to get in because of their name. But they proved me wrong. They got hot down the stretch in February. The last game of the regular season, they went on to beat Duke in Cameron in the famous game, Coach K's last home game. Yes, they did lose the ACC tournament, but They've been red hot in this tournament, and they've been putting up big numbers and blowing teams out and turning a lot of games into easy games. The only real tough games that they had were UCLA and last night. That was it. All the other games really weren't even close. Yes, I know the Baylor game went to overtime and Carolina blew that big lead, but they had the big lead. And then in overtime, they wound up blowing out Baylor. So, Carolina has, they've only really had to show their mettle twice in this tournament. But that's because they've been so good and they've been rolling teams. Now, on the other side, they're up against a Kansas team, which it starts with Ochai Agbaji, right? He's their All-American. He's a finalist for the Wooden Award, 19 points a game. He started out last night's game hitting his first 5 3-pointers, right? He finished the game with 21 points. He can score off the dribble. He can stroke the three. He does a little bit of everything. And with the emergence of Remy Martin in this tournament, who's still a backup, who's still the sixth man, comes off the bench and just lights you up. He only scored 3 points yesterday, but that's because he didn't have to. By the time he came into the game, Kansas was already had a double-digit lead. So he was more of the facilitator. But since he's been there, Agbaji has been playing lights out, and he's still the man. Now, Jalen Wilson is a very, very valuable piece to that puzzle, right? He goes 6'8" and averages 14 points a game. He's going to be matched up against Brady Manick, and he can get the ball in the low post and take Manick to the goal. David McCormick, their center, right? I've always been a fan of this guy. I like the way he plays. He doesn't wow you with stats and numbers, but he's just always there in big moments, rebounding, boxing out, playing tough defense. And then yesterday he goes crazy against Villanova and scores 25, a career high. Now, I'm telling you right now, if David McCormick scores 25 points tomorrow night, Kansas will win this game by 20 points. They're going to blow out Carolina. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to score 25 points again, not with Baycott guarding him. That's going to be a really good matchup down low because it's two strong physical alphas that really get after it. So I'm looking forward to that. And then there's Christian Braun. Christian Braun is the guy that nobody really thinks of from Kansas, but he averages 14 points a game. He comes off, or he starts, and he can shoot that three. He can defend. He's going to be probably guarding R.J. Davis, and that's going to be a good matchup as well. So I'm really looking forward to this. Now, Bill Self, like I told you on Saturday or on Friday, is one of the great coaches. He did a fantastic job for years at Illinois, and ultimately took this job here, and he wins. He wins every year. Kansas is in the top 10, in the top 5 every year, and they're always one of the favorites to cut down the nets. Now, he's only won one title, and it came 14 years ago, and even he joked about it. I think it was in the Final 8 or the Final 4 where he said, it's time for us to start winning more championships instead of just getting there. And he knows it, and a second title would really kind of, really put the cherry on top of his legacy, because his legacy's already set. He's a surefire Hall of Famer, but a second title would really help a lot. Now, when you look at all this and you look at these tough games that they've had and whatnot, and go back and forth, and you look at the individual matchups, the one thing that really stands out to me on both sides is neither team is very deep, right? Now, Duke was, Villanova wasn't. Duke was the deepest team in the Final Four because they went 8 or 9 deep, right? Coach K would go into that bench and pull guys out and let them play. Carolina does not at all. Carolina goes 6 deep tops. They do not go 7 deep, right? They expect their 5 guys to play and play often, which is why Hubert Davis is always running out of timeouts. And with this team's pace, the way they like to get up and down the court, he needs the rest of these guys. Now, he will go to the bench, but that's it. One guy, two guys at the very most. Kansas will go 7 deep at the most. Maybe 8, but even that's a stretch. But the first guy off the bench is going to be Remy Martin, and Remy Martin is, let's face it, he's just as good as a starter out there. So when you look at all the matchups and you look at their lack of depth and the way that both teams are planning on running up and down the court, I'm going to take the under. I know what you guys are going to say. Oh, he always likes the underdogs and the unders. And that's true. I do. Right. But in this one, it's national championship game. First half will be lower scoring. Second half will be more scoring. That's just how it is. That's how it always is. And I mean, even last night, Carolina Duke had a chance to go under, but in the last 2 minutes of the game, they, with the fouling and the threes and this and that, they combined to score like 20 points in the final 2 minutes to send that game over. 153.5, I'm taking the under, and I'm going to roll with Kansas. I'm going to lay the 4.5. I think Carolina has had a fantastic run, and if Carolina wins this, they can prove that the best team doesn't always win, but the hottest team wins. And Carolina certainly has been the hottest team since February, right? And they rolled into the tournament, and they've played well into the tournament, and they can prove that a lower seed can win the tournament if they get hot at the right time. But I'm rolling with Kansas. I'm going to lay the 4.5 because Kansas has been the better team. They've gone through the ringer of the Big 12, where every single night it's Oklahoma, it's Texas Tech, it's Texas, it's Iowa State. It's just loaded, right? It's absolutely loaded. And it's Baylor, right? The defending champs, right? So those are teams that they faced on a night-to-night basis and still only had 6 losses for the whole season. So I think they're going to stay at 6 losses. I think they're going to win this game, and they're going to ice it down the stretch. They'll have a 3 or 4 point lead late, but they'll make some free throws to get that cover, and they'll win by 6 or 7 points. Kansas wins, and it's the under. So that's all I got for you. You satisfied? Doesn't matter. I don't care. You have to be satisfied with your bankrolls because all I've done is make you money. Once again, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to all these Stony casts. They keep me having fun, and they keep you on the edge, and they keep you informed, because that's what I want to do. I want to give you both sides of a competing argument to allow you to make the choice with my own opinion thrown in as to who I like. So Kansas in the under. Thank you once again to all of my favorite degenerates. You guys have made all these Stony casts great. This is episode 67, so we're going to tune in with episode number 68, probably on August 26th. That'll be season 3, episode number 1. So remember that if you want to make money, you got to bet. If you want to let me start over. If you want to win big, you got to bet big. To me, the action is the juice. Scared money don't make money. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you.